Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown Series 3. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by Flint Espel. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
I would like to make everyone aware we did have a last minute change in our schedule, so our late night match of Ben and James will be up first, while Ron and Jared will likely be our later match. Potentially, we might have to reschedule that. But we're going to start things off with Ben against James. I'm going to bring up the standings since this is our last week of round robin play, and we have a somewhat good picture idea of what's going on, but a lot is still up in the air. So you can see from this graphic that there are three players that have just are for sure going to be in the playoff, but it is yet to be determined exactly in what position. So James is our current leader. He's at 5-1, and if he wins tonight, he will clinch the first seed. And so John is currently in second place, but uh, he will play on Thursday, and if he wins, then he will clinch second place. Since he has lost to James, if they both have a 5-2 record, James will get the higher seed. So the best John can do is second seed. And then Jared currently has a 4-2 record, and if he wins tonight, and then both James and John lose, then he will jump all the way to the first seed. So still a lot of possibilities for these three players, even though they're guaranteed to be in the playoff. And then on the other side, things get even more complicated. I guess the straightforward thing is Tom is at 3-3. If he wins, he's in. He will get the fourth slot. If he loses, then it opens up a lot of opportunities for the other players. So the remaining players are all at 2-4, and you could see like the possibilities. So the way it works is if there are two or more players tied with the same record, we'll first look at head to head, and if one player has beaten those other players at the same record, then that they will win that tiebreaker, and then they will get that they will move to the fourth. But if it's inconclusive, so if there are three people and they've beat one and lost to the other and all in a cycle, then it's inconclusive for that tiebreaker, and then we'll look at game win percentage from the whole tournament to determine who is going to get that fourth place seed. So there's different permutations of chances for I think for everyone. I don't think anyone is mathematically eliminated, though a lot of things have to go for some of these players at 2-4. But still exciting for all the players. Is there anything you want to say, Flint, about what we have for our playoff picture?
I mean, is this the closest it's ever been for the last remaining person to get in?
Yes, we've always had someone I think who's been mathematically eliminated, and there are I don't even know if yeah, and there's just everyone is able to get the fourth slot, and I think even at the top spots, I think we had people that were just locked in at like first place and whatnot. So very exciting.
Pretty exciting.
Okay, so let's get down to our match. We'll talk about the bans for these players. So we have Ben up against James. Ben's three decks are the Survival Elves, his Death and Taxes, and the Zombies deck. He will not be playing Death and Taxes as James has banned that deck. And James has Blue Black Stiflenought, his five color Sly, and then the Star Spangled Slaughter, which has been banned by Ben. All right, Flint, use your big brain power and do all the calculations. What is the optimal pick for Ben to bring tonight, and what is James going to play tonight?
Hmm. Good question. So I think Ben is going to play zombies, and James is going to play. Hmm. Oh wow, I could see him going either way on this one. I think that Sly would be the safer choice, but I think he's probably gonna do Dreadnought.
Okay. I guess that way Flint is covered with either choice for James to say he's right either way.
No, I'm gonna say Dreadnought is just
Okay.
gonna be his pick.
All
But
right. We'll go to the decks. And first up for Ben, we do have zombies. So uh, this tribal aggro deck does a good job of getting an early board presence, especially if it has Dark Ritual. But then it does have some later game synergies where if the board stalls out, something like Lord of the Dud could pump its team and then also get back creatures from the graveyard. And then Shepherd of Rot and Gempalm Polluter are a nice way to deal damage not through the red zone. And then it's kind of complemented with discard spells like Duress and Cabal Therapy. So pretty tried and true deck in pre-modern. We see it every now and then as people sleeve up the zombie decks. Do you want to add anything about this, Flint?
No, no, it's pretty straightforward.
All right, and then for James, we have Blueback Stiflenought. So good job, Flint.
All right.
So the combo deck here is looking to assemble Phyrexian Dreadnought plus Stifle or Phyrexian Dreadnought plus Vision Charm. And the cards that it has that complemented are card draw spells and then counter magic as well as hand disruption and some tutor effects. So a very consistent deck, very powerful, very streamlined, and really just a really solid deck. I like the blue black list a lot. All right, I'm going to bring up the key cards for what I anticipate in this matchup. So on the zombie side, we have Dark Ritual and Duress. Dark Ritual is just so that you can get a board presence. I mean, we say that with a lot of the times that any deck that plays Dark Ritual is one of the key cards, and it's because the games, when it does have Dark Ritual, are a lot more powerful than when it doesn't. So if you're just able to get two creatures in play on turn one as compared to one, that is almost an exponential factor because you're attacking for so much more, so much quicker. And then Duress, because the nature of the deck that James has is a combo deck. So taking a card like Stifle or Vision Charm at the right time could really make James spend a lot of time searching for that other combo piece, which in turn is likely to mean that he's going to take a bunch more damage. So from the Stiflenought side of things, Gush is a key card, I think, just because the black deck has the ability to disrupt it, and Gush is a powerful way to draw a couple cards, get back that card advantage, and keep your deck moving. And that is one feature of the blue-black Stiflenought lists, that it is able to play Gush and really takes advantage of it. And then the other card is Limdol's Vault, and that is just the tutor effect. It's nice because you can use it in response to a Duress and kind of set things up, but then it is just a powerful effect to try and either smooth out your draw or rebuild after things have been disrupted. So is there anything you want to add right now, Flint, or should we jump down to the match?
I think I would just say Lotus Petal is also a key card when James is on the play because
Sure.
at turn one, Dreadnought is, I mean, especially against someone on a black deck, is not not easy to deal with.
Okay. If you want to let our players know that they can get started, I will jump over to the match, and then I will also be putting up the prediction poll for our viewers at home. They can predict who they think is going to win this match. So we have Ben against James. So you have a couple of minutes to wager your channel points and bet. And so we have Ben has won the die roll. He will be on the play.
It's important.
Okay, so Ben is kicking things off. Swamp is it? It is a dark ritual. So
One key card, check.
yes, there is a Cabal Therapy.
What do you name?
Probably Phyrexian Dreadnought. But,
Yeah, I think that's what I'd name.
there is like a. I guess you probably don't need. I was gonna say you could name Duress to protect it and then like play a creature and. But yeah, I think it's just Dreadnought makes the most sense. So we see a hand of Pluto Delta Swamp, Lotus Petal, Limdol's Vault, Daze, and Impulse. So a fairly reactive hand as far as Blueback Stiflenought goes. A lot of the game ones that I played with the deck typically be a little bit more aggressive in trying to assemble the combo, but it looks like James is content on having a more reactive hand.
So he named Mox Diamond.
I guess he doesn't know what he's up against. So that would have been a deck from the Sly deck. So I think he was just
Yeah.
assuming that he was playing against Sly. I guess that's one thing that I always forget, that the players don't know for certain what they're playing against. They know that the two decks are remaining, but the players don't know which deck they're playing. So
I was just gonna say, why did Ben put his swamp in the graveyard? It's just out of shame.
it was a costly Cabal therapy. He's flashing it back that way.
All right.
So
So we,
if Cabal Therapy's flashback was sacrifice a land as compared to sacrifice a creature, would you say that's better or worse?
I mean, it's probably worse.
I think it's way better.
Really?
Yeah, you just like don't need to play creatures. We do have Withered Wretch as the threat that has come down. So not the most potent, but it's better than nothing, I guess. All right, so James has taken two from the zombie hit, and we have another Cabal Therapy being cast. Okay, so he
Yep.
knows
Impulse
about
in response.
using a Lotus Petal.
Yeah, maybe.
It's kind of costly.
Does he have any other
I
mana
guess I
sources in
guess
his
it's not
hand?
that costly because it's not like, I guess the deck doesn't really need that much mana anyways. It's like the combo is only 2 mana, and you do have your land drop, so
Oh, LDV.
yeah, playing the Limdal's Vault, I guess that makes sense. So
I think the reason why I don't like Sacrifice a Land is because oftentimes with the Cabal Therapy, you're playing it in the first couple of turns, and it sets you back tempo-wise. But certainly the cost of having to play a creature and sacrifice it, is troublesome.
yeah, gracefully balding. I think Ben is playing remotely, so he's not at his normal setup. So I think he's got
It's revolving.
a
It's resolving
makeshift.
slowly.
Yes. And so I guess maybe like every time like Ben bumps the table, like deals 1 damage to each creature and each player without flying, and then if he like really bumps it, it probably does two, right?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, he's just trying to bump over one time, one, two, three. Do you think he can do it 17 times?
Maybe.
Yeah, we're up to at least 5 damage or so now. The poor withered wretch didn't know it hit him. Okay, I guess. Oh, a chunk of life was paid if James is down to 12.
Yeah.
I guess two was from the. I guess it was. So he's. I think he looked at it 3 more times because he would take two from the withered wretch twice and then a fetch land, so he would have been at 15.
Makes sense. So he does get the impulse, obviously, and we do see a portent from James.
Okay. So still not really. I guess the Limdal's Vault, I guess, makes it a little more. Uh, the threat is looming from Ben's perspective, but from what you see in his hand, it's not very scary. I mean, you have to imagine though, like if you like are paying life for Limdal's Vault and we're happy with the 5 cards, that they have to be reasonably be good. Well,
Did he just want the one that he
he
drew?
must have. I mean, if he's fetching right away, unless that was something that he was like overlooking, but um, yeah, I think. I guess he just wanted 1 card. I guess he was just looking for. I was kind of surprised. That guy. I feel like if you, unless you saw I feel like you just probably pay a little bit more life and try and get both cards in the same
Yeah.
5 pile. But I guess the one good sign for James is there's not a flood of creatures on the board from Ben. There's only a 2/2. So like a lot of his cards, like Shepherd of Rot and Gem Pump Looter, are a lot more powerful when there is a wider board presence. And
Mhm.
so he's not under too much pressure now, though there is still call therapies that can be flashbacked. But if that happens from this position, then Ben is taking away all his pressure for the life total.
Yeah, so much of what Ben did was disruption that he doesn't have a lot of pressure, obviously.
I think he's got a couple of cards left in his hand, so there are a number of three drops. There's Rodling Reanimator and Lord of the Undead, and getting stuck at 2 sometimes
Oh, he's
uses up,
going for the Cabal Therapy here.
right? So what are you naming here?
Dreadnought?
Dreadnought misses. It shows Gush and Stifle are the other cards. So Stifle, Gush, Daze, and Swamp are the remainders.
It was Dreadnought that time.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, but now it's kind of like if and Ben didn't have a 3 drop. We see Wasteland, but we don't see a creature. So how much time does James have? So he'll Gush now. Is he? Did he play the Swamp first? I feel like he.
Yeah, it's interesting he played it first.
Yeah, because now he might. If he would have been able to play the island, then would have like Daze mana. Oh, okay, he's duressing. So those are Lord of the Undead. So interesting that was that just a bluff from Ben, or I guess he didn't want to get dazed. All right, but that was that would be the reason why.
Hmm. Oh my god, he drew Dreadnought.
Well, he had Portent, right?
Hmm.
Well, and he does have a Vision Charm, so wouldn't you want to stifle there?
I think because he's tapped out, doesn't have an island for days, he just doesn't
Uh,
want to open it up to a removal spell.
okay. I was just thinking like you would have the removal, you would have the Vision Charm for like multiple turns later, but okay.
All right, here comes 12. Stomp, 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 stomp.
Ben's Earthquake plan no longer. He can no longer do one over and over and over now that he's behind on the race.
Yeah, Jared, he had 2 blue from floating from the Gush.
Wait, did he play an island after he gushed? Because
That
then he
was the
played
next
this.
turn. That was the
Oh,
next
that
turn
was the next turn. Okay,
because he
all right.
attacked, right?
Oh yeah. Fair enough. All right,
Stomp, 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 stomp.
all
Yep,
right.
that'll
Nothing,
do it.
nothing for Ben that he can do after that dreadnought comes down. So the blue black Stiflenought does what it does, and resolving that 12/12 is a lot difficult. Is really difficult for a lot of decks to deal with. Let's look at the sideboards to see if. I guess we'll first look to see if there's anything that the zombies deck can really do. Do they have good answers? Nothing really to are resolved. There are a couple of snuff outs in the main, but there's not a good clean answer in the sideboard to a dreadnought. I think we're just gonna see cabal therapies come in. I guess you have a plague bear. Plague bear is a cute way to try and kill a dreadnought. I would be very excited if we get to see plague bear. Are you aware of what that card does?
I looked it up when I think he played this list last time, and I don't remember now.
So it is a 1/1 zombie. I believe it's 1 and a white, and it has an activated ability of XXB. Destroy target non-black creature with total casting cost equal to X. So for colorless black, it can
It's pretty good.
destroy a dreadnought. And it's just an activated ability, so it's not like the creature goes away.
But what if it gets stifled?
It can get stifled, yes. Uh, I guess you take a hit and then you try it again next turn. All right,
Yeah, Cabal,
so
Cabal Therapy and probably Plague Bearer.
I don't know what comes out. Maybe like a card like Carrion Feeder, because it's not like there's like removal spells. Um, yeah, I don't know. And then maybe Rowling Reanimator. I don't know. On to the Blue Black Stiflenought list. I guess you bring in Smothers. I would maybe like you don't even need to. It does slow things down, but I don't know if it slows you more down. Like, what are you taking out? I mean, all the cards seem fine in the main deck. I guess you could maybe take out Boomerang because you know the list and aren't like really scared of one thing, other than maybe a Plague Bearer. But like, I think that might be the most problematic card if it like was staying. But I don't think there's one. There's not like one haymaker out of the zombies deck that I think James is afraid of.
Is Engineered Plague worth it?
I don't think so. There's it.
You get just too slow, and you
Yeah,
need two for it to really be good.
yeah, and it gets negated by a Lord of the Undead. It's just
Yeah.
it it kills Shepherd of Rot and it kills Carrion Feeder maybe. I don't think that's enough, but maybe I've been wrong about sideboarding a lot. So
I'm really bad, especially if I haven't played the deck.
I mean,
So
I would bring in Smother before I bring in Engineer Plague, because if you're just like killing one card, that Smother does it all the time and it hits like all the cards in the deck. But
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, because Plague just hits Carrion Feeder and Shepherd, right?
Yeah, and not even all the time Carrion Feeder
Yeah, fair enough.
and Plague
I
Bearer
mean,
though.
yes. I mean, I think James just wants to be as fast as possible. Oh, the Unholy Grotto. There it is. It makes a brief appearance.
Oh, players didn't get to see that, but the infamous Unholy Grotto.
Do we have any player slides to go over while we're waiting?
Oh, I do. Thank you. I forgot about that.
I got your back.
All right, so we'll jump over to Ben. He says his biggest pre-modern rival. He says Robin Lund is 7 feet tall. Nobody's bigger than him, which is only a slight exaggeration. And we asked the players who will win the PSS3, and this was asked before we had played any of the games. So this is when everyone had a clean slate, and Ben went with John Grudzina. So strong choice from him. He says the strongest color in pre-modern is green, which I was a little bit surprised by. I do think green is a little bit underrated in terms of maybe how people would evaluate its strength, but I wouldn't call it the strongest color. He says the weakest color in pre-modern is white, which also wouldn't have been my first choice, but I understand that more than I guess saying green. He says his favorite sport. He says baseball is okay to watch, but complaining about the Mets is the best. So everyone can let Ben know on Bobby Bonilla Day. Just remind him what it's like to be a Mets fan. Do you know what Bobby Bonilla Day is?
I do not.
So he was a sports player or a Mets player, and they wanted to keep him on the team, and they didn't have like the salary or like there's no salary cap in baseball. They didn't have the funds to devote to what they wanted to keep him because he was a really good player. And they made a deal of saying like we're going to pay you the next like 20 years like 1.29 million every year, like even after you're done like playing baseball, just like guaranteed. And it was based off of like a time evaluation of money of what they were going to pay him then based off of. So it was mathematically calculated, but he didn't play for that long, and then like the Mets just have to pay like 1.2 million dollars to this guy every year, and so it's kind of a joke of the MLB. But I listened to a podcast about it, and they talked about it. It actually mathematically wasn't that bad of a decision because the time evaluation of money was actually like it made sense. It was not like an overvaluation. They basically it was theoretically a smart decision, but it doesn't necessarily work that way out in practice. His favorite vacation location is Florida, so a good place. We'll jump over to James. He says his biggest Premon rival is Flint. Uh,
What?
so that nasty Flint,
Oh
always
no.
always beating people.
Uh,
The good old rival. He also said that John Grazzino would win the PSS3. He says the strongest color in pre-modern is blue, but also agrees with Ben that the weakest color is white. Says his favorite sport is tennis, and then his favorite vacation location is Melbourne, Australia.
ooh, nice.
Yes. All right. I think the players are ready. They might have been waiting, but if you want to give them a reminder that they can start whenever they are ready. Maybe James is mulliganing. I'm not sure.
Dunsies. Looks like he is taking a mulligan.
All right. So, I mean, I don't feel like Ben improves that much in the sideboard games. And I kind of feel like that game, I mean, I guess just the way it started, Ben probably felt like pretty good about how things were when he just kind of stripped James' hand. James didn't have that much going on. And then he just kind of died. So,
Yeah, he played a lot of air. I mean, he was relying on his disruption, and his disruption just missed a lot of cards.
yeah.
As you mentioned, it's one of the nice things about this version of the Stiflenought deck, though. I mean, they have the gush on top of the impulses and the limb duels vaults, and so it's easy for them, or it's easier, I would say, for them to kind of get back into the game even when they're disrupted, and when the disruption just flat out misses, and he has those cards to dig and find what he needs. Pretty good shape.
All right. So, I didn't see. Did James Mulligan once? Or did he
At
not
least
mulligan at
once.
all? Oh, it was twice? Okay. So if this is leading off with a duress, then you have a Cabal Therapy. I don't think Mox
Oof.
Diamond will be named this time.
You don't think he's just going to dig his heels in and name it again? We do see an engineered plague.
Alright, it was one mulligan. There's 6 cards there. Lotus Petal, Polluted Delta, Engineered Plague we do see, and Mesmeric Fiend, Daze, and Portent. So the Lotus Petal does come down. I guess there's not a reason. In my mind, I'm thinking like there's a reason to keep it in your hand, but he's not playing a Storm deck or anything, so. And I guess there's no. It's not going to get destroyed once it's in play. That would be, I guess, the reason if like a disenchant might come into play, but I don't think you're disenchanting Lotus Petal very often against the Dreadnought deck.
Yeah.
Did we get a confirmation of what he had named?
I looked earlier and didn't see it.
Okay,
No.
so we'll just say Mox Diamond.
All right, Mox. It was Mox Diamond again. Yes, yes. Tenacious. This Benjamin.
All right, so James will draw off his ponder his portent. It's
He wishes.
it's a yeah. Does Ben only have one land?
It would appear so. We'll see.
No. Looks like there's a second land.
Playing around days here, decided, wait a minute. Before I run this out, this one drop or this dark ritual.
All right, there's a carrion feeder, so not the biggest threat, but it is food for Cabal Therapy at the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy usually better against decks that it's a way to get advantage if people are trying to remove your zombies, which is like targeted removal spells. You could just sack the creature that's getting bolted and grow him a little bit. But yep, we see him uh, getting used for the Cabal, and he named Engineered Plague. Okay, I guess that's the most like I guess yeah. I don't know what else you would take out of that hand, so that makes sense. But I guess we kind of talked Engineered Plague down as being not that effective against the zombies deck, but it is the target. We have a zombie token put into play with Sarcomancy. The
It is
Unholy
the Unholy
Grotto.
Grotto.
Always
We'll
trying
allow
to make
that.
an appearance. All right, so James is going to, I believe he's going to deploy his Mesmeric Fiend and maybe get an idea of what Ben is doing. What do we see from this Fiend?
Oh, snuff out.
Okay, so Wasteland, Snuff Out, and Shepherd of Rot. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine Snuff Out is getting taken.
Pretty good wasteland too.
So with that uh, Snuff Out under that Mesmeric Fiend, there's not really a good way for Ben to force the or like to kill the Mesmeric Fiend, right?
Unless he boarded in his contagions.
Yeah,
Be
I
pretty bad if he did, but he
I'm
could
trying to
draw another
think.
snuff out.
I'm trying to think if you contagion a dreadnought, so it would become 8 power. It still wouldn't buy you. I guess it would buy you a turn, which
Mm-hmm.
still probably not good enough.
Well, Ben hasn't had much of a clock yet, but if he's playing the Shepherd, he's going to start to speed things up a little bit.
Okay. Shepherd rots in play. There are 2 zombies.
All right, he's going for the vault.
Okay, so James uses the 2 lotus petals to use the.
Yeah.
I guess so. His last card in hand is just an island. Is it, or are there unknown cards in James's hand?
I think it's just an island. I mean, he's not in trouble yet, but he's not in a good spot. He needs a pretty good Limdul's Vault here. Because that wasteland is presumably going to take out his underground river.
Yeah, but you don't need black mana for the combo.
No, no, you don't.
So
But he needs a land and he needs both combo pieces,
sure.
right? I mean, like island, gush, and then both combo pieces would be living the dream, obviously. But there's snake grabbing apparently going on in the chat. I just saw.
Yes, I was reading it earlier, but yeah, I guess I didn't have anything to add.
I didn't see that. Sorry, chat. You
Uh,
missed out on some prime snake grabbing chat.
I'm bringing up Boa Constrictor. It was weird that that was the first snake that came to my mind and not River Boa.
River boa, aka snake.
I do like the art on this Boa Constrictor. It's pretty cool. But river boa might just be the best snake. Though I think people argue that mystic snake is a better snake.
No, they're wrong. It's river boa.
It's a reasonable argument, but
Pure reason for madness.
is there just a magic card called Python?
That's a good question.
I feel like it's like a Mirage card or something.
Man, if you give that boa constrictor vigilance.
Oh, there is a one. There's Python from at least from 6th edition. It's a 1 black for a 3/2. All right, back to the match. I think James is still resolving this Limdol's Vault.
Yeah, I see a pile of cards there.
He's at 10 life. Mr. Jones, there's should be sound from us, not sound from the players.
Yeah.
All right, so James has found a suitable 5-card combination. After I don't know exactly how many times he paid, but so if he's looking at being attacked with a 2/2 and then taking at least 2 from Shepherd of Rot, he has 3 turns.
3 turns.
And even blocking with the Mesmer Fiend doesn't really change that. And like blocking with the Mesmer Fiend is pretty bad because Snuff Out comes back online then. So once again, things look pretty good for Ben, but I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, we see Wasteland getting used on the Underground River. And
is that another Shepherd?
Yep. And I think James scoops him up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
All right. Well, the zombies have taken. Well, I guess they didn't take down the Dreadnought because the Dreadnought didn't show up, and the match is still going on. But so, I guess we didn't see a Plague Bearer, but we did see Cabal Therapy, but that's in the main deck as well. I don't think anything changes when you're on the draw from the zombie perspective. I'm looking at Null Rod. I don't think you could do that. Nope. I was gonna say that seems very, very narrow. It only takes out the Lotus Petals. Doesn't do anything with the Dreadnought.
Probably not going to happen.
Now we can talk about Snake Wrangling. A Danger Noodle. Do you like snakes, Flint?
I do. Yeah. I like reptiles a lot.
Okay. I guess like if I get caught off guard by seeing a snake, I'd like it would be pretty off-putting. But like if someone's holding a snake, it's not that scary to me. But like I know one time I was out east. I think it was West Virginia. And we were like hiking, and we were like on the edge of a bluff or whatever, like trying to get a view or take a picture or something. And then we realized that we were just like standing like probably like 1.5 feet away from like a sleeping snake, just in like it was on the rocks. And we're like, all right, we're gonna get away from this. And then it like started moving or whatnot. But yeah, that's a little scary.
Is it a poisonous snake?
I don't know. Red then what is it? Red then black is a friend of Jack. Red then yellow may kill a fellow. That's what they say. I don't know.
That's the king snake versus coral snake distinction. But
I don't know. It was I wasn't gonna take the chance.
Yeah. I mean, like water moccasins and copperheads, and some of the more poisonous snakes in North America are certainly scary. But for the most part, I'm cool with snakes. We used to catch them a lot when I was a kid. All right. So James is going to be on the play this time.
All right. I'll jump back down to the match. Aaron says, when camping on Mount Diablo once, Jared. Found out it's covered in tarantulas, rattlesnakes, and cougars. Guess how it got the name. Ron says, when fishing once, my father-in-law nearly stepped on a cottonmouth. Backed up, so I poked it with my fishing pole. It got very bad. So Ron's trying to inherit his father-in-law's quickly by poking the snake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're saying you poked it to agitate it so it might bite him or to try and get it out of the way. Was it a malicious poke or a heroic poke? The Magic Mormon, there was no Unholy Grotto in the zombie list. So the story behind that, in a previous episode, Ben was playing and he had played an Unholy Grotto. I believe it was against Jared, and Jared had realized right away that like that wasn't a card that was in the list that he had submitted because the deck lists are public to all the players. And what had happened was Ben had submitted a version and then had like tuned the deck. He thought he submitted like version 4, but he actually submitted version 3. So we caught it right away, replaced it with a swamp. Nothing really changed, but now it's just kind of a running joke. So the Unholy Grotto has made its appearance in the form of a Sarcomancy token.
Turn 1 duress from James. Ooh, that glare. What
It
do we
looks
see?
like
Duress,
a
snuff
number of
out,
swamps,
Sarcomancy.
Duress, Snuff Out, and Sarcomancy. So a reactive hand out of Ben. I guess he's, which I think makes sense because if you have Duress and Snuff Out, then you think that there's like a pretty good chance that you're able to slow down the combo deck. And we do see a turn 1 Duress. So we see Vision Charm, Portent, Smother, Stifle, and
My
Dreadnought.
God.
And that is, well, there's no land right now. That is the only saving grace, but the dress is not as effective because there is both Vision Charm and Stifle. Like, do you take Portent here? I think you kind of have to.
I guess it depends on what that unknown is. I mean, if it's another discard spell, maybe not, but otherwise, yeah, it's probably important.
And Portent is selected. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, you're not happy with that situation, but
Oh
top of the
my
deck says
God.
Island, and I think the Dreadnought will be coming down.
I mean, there are a lot of lands in the deck, so that's fair, but oof, that's rough.
Well, HE Fox, I guess the argument is like if he doesn't draw a land right away, you might draw like Cabal Therapy and be able to take the Dreadnought out of his hand.
It's gonna
So,
protect it here.
yep.
Whoop.
So Ben's looking to draw Plague Bearer. Or draw Snuff Out. Or I'm in suspense. There's a man tap. It's just a Sarcomancy. And there's a
And a wasteland.
wasteland. So, I mean, the damage has been done.
Did you hear that? Stomp, 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 stomp.
So, I wonder, like, Ben had the option of, like, wastelanding off the Underground River. Like, I mean, maybe he didn't have wasteland. Maybe that was his draw. But, I guess that doesn't seem that good, though. All right. Well, it looks like the zombie deck got its card stripped, and then the Dreadnought came down, and you don't get a lot of time when there's a 12/12 attacking you. So looks like James has won this match, and that
All
means
right.
that James has locked up the first place seed. So congratulations to James.
Congrats.
Let's listen in to the players about what they have to say about the match.
I just need to avoid a couple of.
Yeah.
Was it 3 smothers? Is that my board? Oh my god. Just shows you how much I've played this deck. I think that's what I did.
Yeah, I was ready to match up against Sly. I thought that would have been a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good
I'm gonna keep
matchup
complaining about it.
against. I think it was a pretty good matchup against both of your decks. I just honestly wanted to play this deck.
Fair enough.
I just really enjoyed playing it. And I only played it once.
Your decks. I think I tweaked this zombie deck to be a little bit better with the 2 snuff outs in the main and the plague bearer in the sideboard. A little bit better against Dreadnought, but it's still like it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and I mean that. I guess game. Did I have a duress any other game? Maybe game 1. Oh yeah, game 1 I did off of the gush. That was a good duress. But yeah, I mean game 3 being able to open with the duress, even if you had the wasteland to take out my land, I was very happy with that, knowing that I just had to avoid 4 Cabal therapies, 4 duresses, and then also in my opening hand having both the Vision Charm and the Stifle. I felt was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel like you had a racy enough hand to?
It was a risky keep. Wow, that was a real risky keep on the 1 land.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Portent in hand. So I was happy with that, and I had the duress. If you only had like a duress or a Cabal therapy, I was happy with that hand.
Yeah, that's true.
And like at the end of the day, you only have 4 wastelands. It's 1 in 15.
Game 2, I think I had a hand with Snuff Out, what is it called? Sarcomancy and Cabal Therapy. What did I play? Cabal Therapy. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be playing Cabal Therapy or Sarcomancy first. Because I had the Snuff Out in my hand, I was tempted to lead on just getting a creature in play, and then I could just Cabal Therapy flashback next turn. And that might be right considering I had the Snuff Out in my hand, but I don't know, I play scared. Too scared,
No, I mean, I think you have to disrupt me as much as possible. I think that's why you're successful in game 2. The Wasteland, the Cabal Therapy with the flashback, it just kept me off doing anything useful. And by the time I was able to get an LDV off, I was down a land. I was on 1 land. I'd had to use the 2 Lotus Petals on the Limdol's Vault. Maybe that was aggressive by me. But then on all those, I was just seeing no lands and a bunch of combo, and combo's great, but you need 2 lands to cast a combo. So at least for this deck. So hey, Mike and Flint.
Hey.
Oh hey Mike.
When the game opened and the Cabal Therapy, we're like, all right, what's he gonna name here? We're like, probably Phyrexian Dreadnought, and then you're like, Mox Diamond, and we're like, oh yeah, they don't know exactly what they're playing against. I always forget that, and then we were joking the second game when you lead off with the Cabal Therapy, a Black Cabal Therapy. We were like, what does he name? We just said probably Mox Diamond.
Well, he did name Mox Diamond.
No, the second for the second or third game or something.
Game too. Yeah. He quickly retracted it though.
Oh, okay.
And James was a gentleman enough to accept that I was just making a bad joke.
I was pretty happy with that game 1, but that's the advantage of having 2 decks to choose from and them being very different decks and you playing Cabal Therapy. So I guess it works well that I lost the die roll, right?
Ben was trying to channel his inner Robin Lund and cast blind Cabal Therapies and then come back from and steal the playoff spot and then win the series. I think that was what he was looking to do. So
I still think the blind Cabal Therapy is correct with
yeah, that's fine. I'm just more like a storytelling thing. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yes, no, sorry. I should. Yes, and. Yeah,
it wasn't really a critique of the play.
Any of his juice.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any Robin Lund juice before this, and so unfortunately, I won't make the. I don't know. The breakers are crazy. Can a 1 in 5 get in? 9 and 6.
A 2 and 5, yeah. No. Unfortunately not. But I did like even though your hand was like pretty land heavy, it's like, oh, you had duress and both snuff out, and then when like you show that opening hand when it had both the stifle and the vision charm, and then we're like, I was like, I think you just had to take the port in here and then just hope he doesn't draw land, and that's what happened. But
Yeah.
land
That
was
a fair
drawn. So
conversation too.
yeah.
I think I told him, well, James, maybe you won't draw land, maybe it'll be okay, and he just goes, island.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty lucky.
No rest for the wicked. That's okay. I was actually not sure if I was supposed to wasteland you in game 3 because like, okay, so I have two answers, right? I have Plague Bearer and I have the other Snuff Out. And I don't know if I was supposed to just say, oh, I guess lands are just too important. But I don't know, keeping on one land is a little too glaring.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I played 21, 22 lands. I think it's right. You absolutely right to go after my 2 underground rivers. Yeah, especially because the cards that I have that hurt you are black too.
After you had the Dreadnought, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I just keep the lands in play and hope that I'll.
Yeah, unless you can deal with the Dreadnought and then keep me off of a second turn of the combo. Yeah, it's tough.
No.
Also, I mean, I think at that point your hand was out of gas, unfortunately, as well, right? Because
I think the odds were better of you, like, you know, having to like run for the door because there was a mailman or something than I was to draw what I needed in that game.
Well, luckily it's 10:58. I think the mail stopped a while ago.
Yeah, it sounds like my plan B never came through. Which was,
you need more sand. That was the issue, or you needed to be more friendly with the sand.
I needed desert power.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's bad. So this was a really good showcase of this matchup, though. It was sometimes the zombie deck has the cards it needs. Sometimes the zombie deck doesn't have the cards it needs, and sometimes the zombie deck has the cards it needs, but the opponent has a duress, in which case it's
Yeah, I guess the only thing that was a little bit surprising is the games where you had a lot of disruption in all 3 of the games. But it was just some of the times you just didn't have the creatures. Like the first game, you just had a Withered Wretch, and it was just like kind of poking them a little bit, but then didn't have anything else. So,
yeah, that's a fair point, but I think it's right to just like I think I'd rather have a hand of like lands and
if you have 2 Cabal therapies or whatnot, yeah, that seems fine.
I'm so threat dense.
Yeah,
I think, Ben, if you hadn't missed as much as you did with your disruption, you would have been okay. The problem was you just missed, right? You missed on the first one, you missed on the follow-ups. James was ready for it. He was just keeping cards that were going to get him there eventually, and knowing that you had a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard and things like that. And so you just kept playing these cards and they weren't doing anything, right? And so you had a little bit of pressure. But I think if you would have hit Dreadnought, or you would have hit a Stifle or a Vision Charm if he had one, or you knew about the Gush or whatever, I think you could have come out on top in that game. That was where things kind of fell short in game 1.
Yeah, it's like game 1, you took an impulse, but I was able to gain the advantage because I could Limdol's Vault into a Gush and I think a Portent or something, and just kind of take over on card advantage there.
So what do you think there on that name in game 1?
The Mox Diamond one, or?
Well, yes, I'd love to hear that, but please, that's just for the comments. So my question is, I'm in this situation. I like having pressure, but even at 2/2's like 5 turns of just kind of hanging around. I wanted to disrupt him more. So okay, let's 2 scenarios. One is, would you flash back Cabal Therapy? That's one question. Question 2 is, you flash it back. He knows about your Cabal Therapy. What do you think he put on top? Because he's shuffling right after. So he took like a card or 1 or 2 cards. Do you have this brilliant idea and say Gush, or do you say Dreadnought, which is most likely the card that he's fishing for?
Did we know he was going to shuffle right after? Because I think he took his turn and after he had vaulted, played the Polluted Delta. I don't think we knew he was going to shuffle when you played your Cabal Therapy.
I think we did because I had the Wasteland and I wanted to Wasteland his Polluted Delta after he did Limdol's Vault, and that was on my mind. It's possible you're right, but
Okay.
I remember it differently, which is
I think Dreadnought is the correct name,
Yeah.
right? But the sneaky thing is James. I don't know if James knew. Did you have a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard at that point?
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of knows those are coming. So what he's probably going to do is he's not going to just let you untap and steal his good card. What he's either going to do is he's going to put a Stifle or a Vision Charm on top and hope you just name the wrong card and then draw the
And that's what I
Dreadnought.
did.
Or he's going to put something like a gush into whatever he needs a couple cards down, because you've already revealed that you're going to go after his hand. So you're just in a
so I
tough
already
spot
had-
regardless,
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
So I don't know what the quote unquote correct play is, but you just have to be aware of the fact that he knows you have those discard spells. And so if you're going to name a card, you probably name a Stifle or a Vision Charm, or maybe you just name Dreadnought and you call him on his bluff if he's trying to what's the word, double psych you out or whatever it is, but he's just going to play around it is the key here, because he knows you got him.
Yeah, I called him a bluff. I didn't think it was obvious that I was going to sacrifice the zombie. To Mike's point, it was the only pressure I had, and giving him time isn't a great thing too.
Right.
And also I don't know. Let's just assume that he shuffled after, because I don't know. That's what I think happened, but might not have. If he didn't shuffle, then yeah, you could be absolutely right, because he probably put the Dreadnought a little bit lower. If he did shuffle, then yeah, what else was he really gunning for? I guess Gush makes a lot of sense in that. But I don't know.
I do know I was surprised on how quickly James did shuffle after the Limdol's Volt thing, and that's what I was talking about. It's kind of I was talking about. I would have thought you would have paid more life, but I guess if it worked into your
So
game
what
plan,
happened
but yeah.
was in the first 4 Limdol's vaults, it showed all of my Stifles and Vision Charms, but in terrible combinations of them. And I'm like, so I wanted to get to a hand that was, or a 5 that had a Dreadnought and then either a Gush or a Portent. Some way for me to gain some card advantage or shuffle, because I also had a Pluto Delta in hand still. So I knew that I also had an opportunity to keep digging, get back to those Vision Charms and Stifles. So that's what's happened. That's what happened in game 1 with the Limdol's Fault.
Okay.
So it was just unfortunate. I was like, and then game 2, something similar happened where but at that point I was down to 1 land because he had the Wasteland in play. I just kept seeing a bunch of hands with combo, or a bunch of Limdol's Vault 5s with combo, but no Lotus Petal or no Island into Gush and ramping up, where I was going to be able to overcome a Shepherd of the Rot and a Sarcomancy 2/2, but then another Shepherd came down and I'm like, oh, that's time to scoop it up. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Limdol's Vault, good card.
We don't want to keep our other players up too late, so we should probably wrap this up. But let me just, I'm sure Mike will want to jump in here too. But, both you guys, thank you so much for participating in this series. Obviously, James, you're going to go on to the top 4, and Ben, we've loved having you here. We love the decks. The Death and Taxes deck, or Rebel Stacks, or whatever you want to call it, is pretty sweet. And there's probably another iteration of that we'll see at some point in the monthlies, I'm guessing. But always fun to see you play, and love your commentary and your sense of humor.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Anytime you need a terrible joke, I'm just a messenger away.
All right.
I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. It's a great community. I guess one of the things I wanted to mention that the people watching might not be aware of is how much work you guys put in, and how also behind the scenes, geez, how angry everyone gets when they lose, and just how miserable it is to. No, I'm joking. It's just been a really great band of people. We're all rooting for each other. We're just joking around a lot, and so it's just everything you'd want. The same camaraderie you see here is absolutely behind the scenes, and it was really a pleasure to be with you guys. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for playing. So. All right, so I'll let you go. Congratulations, James. Unfortunately,
Thanks,
Ben is eliminated mathematically, so we did enjoy watching him. So we're going to bring up our schedule. So we're going to get our first match ready as we had flipped things. So Ron and Jared are going to get set up. So I'm going to run a quick break as we get those players set up. So we'll be back soon. So don't go anywhere. We will be back shortly. All right, everybody. Thanks for waiting. We are back from our break. We have Ron and Jared set up. So let's jump right down and talk about their bands. So Ron Taylor has brought Suicide Black, Replenish, and Prison Oath to the tournament. His Replenish deck has been banned, while Jared has Red Green Goblins, Draco Blast, and 5-color Terrageddon. He will not be playing Draco Blast tonight since that is banned. All right, Flint, more predictions. What will we have for Ron, and what will Jared be playing?
All right. So Replenish is banned for Ron. I think that Ron is going to play Suicide Black, and Jared is going to play Terrageddon.
Okay. So, on to the decks. Let's see how Flint does. Ron is playing Suicide Black. So, we had seen this aggressive deck. So, similar in the sense to the Zombies deck that Ben has, but it doesn't have a tribal element. Instead, it just... Usually the creatures are shadow creatures, I guess. The evasion from those is nice. And then you do have like the bigger beefy creatures of like Phyrexian Negator and Drinker of Sorrow that hit a little bit harder. But a lot of the supporting cast is similar, like the Dark Ritual is very key, and then the Duresses are a similar role. The Suicide Black deck does have Curse Scroll, which the zombie deck didn't. I guess I would say that the Zombies deck does a little bit better of grinding with the Gem Palm Polluter and the Lord of the Undead engine, but the Suicide Black might be a little bit more either consistent or also maybe a little bit faster. I'm not sure. But so different take on the black aggro deck from Ron. And then for Jared, it is 5-color Terrageddon. So I don't know, someone should go back and calculate all the guesses that Flint has done, but he's done very well. So the 5-color Terrageddon, Enlightened Tutor gets a lot of these pieces, but land tax is a key card, and Scroll Rack is a key engine of the Terrageddon deck, and it always has the option of casting Armageddon and blowing up all the lands. But then the creature suite is Meddling Mage, which can be a little bit of board presence, but then also disrupt your opponent. A Werebear helps with the mana, and then also in the late game it becomes a 4/4. Then there's a couple copies of Terravore, which can get very large with the Armageddons getting cast. All right, I'll quickly move to our key cards for this matchup. So, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go down, but I definitely think that the Suicide Black deck is the aggressor. I don't think that takes a lot of insight, but because of that idea, the reactive cards like Snuff Out and Curse Scroll, I think, are going to be pretty key because there is so much redundancy in the creature suite from Ron. Just being able to get a well-timed Snuff Out or getting a Curse Scroll online could be really disruptive against Jared. So Curse Scroll, if it's able to answer like a Meddling Mage or a non-thresholded Werebear, then the creatures keep attacking, and like Snuff Out can take out any size of those creatures, Werebear, threshold or not, it'll take it out. And like with Snuff Out, you're still able to like cast it and then develop your board. Because there's not that many ways for Jared to really regain after the board has been flooded out. So from Jared's perspective, Source of Plowshares is a good card because it's just quick, clean removal and will get rid of any of Ron's threats. And then Mastercore is a singleton card in the main. There are 4 Enlightened Tutors that get it, but it is a big body that will block a number of the creatures. It will block the shadow ones, and it might hold off like a card like Phyrexian Negator. But then if Jared has like 4 mana, able to shoot a creature twice is pretty effective as mowing down the Suicide Black creatures. So do you have any additional insight, Flint, or should we jump down to the match?
I just can't wait to see my key card, Karavek's Spite.
Okay. There is no light of day in the 75 for Jared, so Ron's probably excited about that. And let's head down to the match. I will throw up the prediction. Oh, I need to choose a prediction outcome from the last one. And now I can do the next one. All right. Okay, so there are a couple minutes for you to wager your points to predict the winner of this match. We have Jared kicking things off with a Mox Diamond and then a land tax and not playing a land. So
It's pretty good.
why does Jared have the life total at 19, 20?
I do.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
they fixed it.
I was confused. I'm like, I don't understand. The fetch land was not used. All right, so land tax is always a frustrating card to play against, but the Suicide Black deck, in general, probably is a deck that cares less about it. You're just trying to play to the board in the early turns, and are less concerned about your opponent having card advantage. So,
Ron's just saying, I'm going to close this out before you can get any kind of tax rack engine going on. I don't care.
yeah, 6 power on turn 1 is pretty good. It does a good job of not allowing Jared to take advantage of his card advantage engines, which can take a number of turns to set up if you're enlightening, tutoring, and scroll racking and trying to find things. Because from this position, I think there's a powder keg in the main. I guess that right away could take out 2 tokens, but it's difficult. Like, I guess you're looking to play something like Meddling Mage just to trade with one of the tokens or the card of age, but.
Yeah, he just wants to slow Ron down, right? Swords to plowshares, meddling mages as blockers, whatever he needs to do in order to get his engine going, and then he'll just out card advantage Ron pretty easily.
Yeah, the issue is there's just not that many ways for him to deal with multiple creatures at one time. So when he is developing, even like I guess he would need to get a creature that is bigger than a 2/2 to like really profit, because if he's just trading a creature and Ron is developing with the board more and more, he's going to be taking 6 to 4 points of damage every turn. So a bit of a rough spot. So there is a Swords to Plowshares. So as far as Jared's concerned, at least that's a clean answer to one of the tokens. So I wonder, I might in that spot do the Carnifage just because now your powder keg is a little less effective. I think I would get rid of the one casting cost creature because I don't think the penalty of the Carnifage is. I think your life total is a lot more important than.
Yeah, I agree.
And a Dothy Horror is added to the board for Ron. So again, there's 6 power in play. So
a lot of basics in Jared's hand.
yes, land tax will do that to you. One
thing
I've heard. Like, sometimes you just. I mean, also like just pitch him because this game is going to be condensed. Likely that there aren't going to be that many turns, and if he just discards to hand size, it could make a Terravore to a point where it's a 3/3.
Well, all right.
All right. Well, we do have Scroll Rack and discarding a Wasteland.
No, using the Wasteland on the Mishra's Factory.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Ron did gain 2 life from the Sword Splashers, but then he loses 1 to keep the Carnifage untapped. And so yeah, Jared's facing 6 power right now, so he's got 3 turns if nothing changes. Okay, something did change. a Sinister Strength. One of those cards where it doesn't look. I mean, like, I wouldn't even be happy to play this in limited most of the time, but here, like, essentially that you've seen like a Swords of Plowshares gone, you feel a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, you're dealing. Let's see, that was 9 damage. So Jared will land tax. That will help him out because this will make his scroll rack more effective. So he really definitely needs a Swords of Plowshares for this Jothy Horror, which I couldn't ever remember. Like, I thought it might have had protection from white, but it has.
It just can't be blocked by white creatures, right?
Yes. So, which is very relevant in this situation. So, but other than that, because we're not at Masticore mana, I mean, and if he could find a Powder Keg as well, but I guess he doesn't have the mana to use Scroll Rack, play Powder Keg, and a Swords of Plowshares. Right. Counting up, he's putting, it looks like all but one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going deep. Does he just want to try to Swords the big creature? Is that his out?
That's
Look
step
at his
one, I
list
think.
here. Yeah.
I think that's
yeah,
what he's
this
got to
turn.
do. I think there needs to be a Swords of Plowshares in this 8 cards or whatever that he just scroll racked with. But oh, there's a Zuran Orb. Okay, that was something I did not consider. That could be relevant, but it doesn't solve any issue. It
No.
only
Prolongs things.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that swords into
He's counting up lands. Does that mean we have a Terravor? No. Oh, maybe he's counting for Threshold. Meddling Mage. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
That
Yeah, he
one?
wants to drop a werebear, I think, next.
We have a raid from Old School Kurdape. So thank you, Andrew, for sending those.
Thanks, Andrew.
This way, I know they were doing a Modern Super Gauntlet match earlier.
Ooh.
So
I'll watch that later.
yes, I still have some round of 64 matches that I need to do commentary over. So, oh, we do have a Swords of Plowshares. So, for Jared's turn, that was a very, very good turn. So, and we have a block of token. Again, I think, I mean, it's kind of minor, but I think I'd be blocking Carnophage.
He's immediately going to get out of Karavek's spite range.
I guess it also allows him to land tax, so.
There is that too. That's probably why he actually did it. So
Yeah.
I really want to see Karavek's spite. I love that card so much.
I mean, I could see situations if Ron has no board and then Armageddon gets cast. If you don't really have anything in hand, then maybe you're casting Care of Exploit anyways. But all right, we are at Threshold. So is Jared gonna be able to take this game? I was very doubtful, I guess, just the way the first few turns that Ron had. We have Scary Terry in the board or on the board. How big is he, Flint?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.
Did you count the one land in Ron's graveyard?
I did indeed.
Okay. So the mighty 6/6. I guess now it's a little bit better that the Carnophage is in play. You feel a little bit better now, but either has to take out. Okay, we have a snuff out ready.
Use a lot of that sweet, sweet life that you've been given.
All right, so this Carnophage will get back to work. Jared will go down to 5. But Jared gets he's got his scroll rack, his rack tax. He's kind of like, yep, I'll put 3 lands back. I think he might be putting the full 5. Or full, oh no, he's got 1 card he's keeping. And I'm guessing there's going to be a Zuran Orb activation again.
Yeah.
Would you sack the Wasteland? I might sack the Plains there. Because Wasteland is an answer to the... There's still a couple copies of Mishra's Factory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what basic Plains does for you.
Yeah, Ron really needed to follow that up with another creature.
Yeah, especially like a Shadow one would be really good. So Ron has one card in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be like a 3-drop, right? But what card would he be holding in his hand otherwise? Another Snuff Out would be like the only other thing I could think of.
It's good. It's Spite, man. I'm telling you.
Well, that's a 3-mana card, so.
He's on that Spite train. I thought you meant 3-mana creature, but yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's Masticore. And so
okay.
there is mana available. And so, yeah, the Masticore does shut off a number of Ron's draws here.
It may be time to scoop.
All right, Curse Scroll. That's pretty good. I mean, you need another mana for it. I guess Dark Ritual is also a card that he could have had, but I think we would have seen... I guess we wouldn't necessarily see Dark Ritual there. All right. So Jared is sacrificing another land. Yeah, that Zurin Orb, I guess, since the pressure didn't come back, just gaining 2 life for the last 3 turns or however many it's been, definitely makes everything comfortable for Jared. And I guess I didn't. There's a lot of Mox Diamonds in play. I didn't notice when those other 2 came down.
He just played 2 more last
Okay.
turn. Yeah.
Did he discard Masticore? Can't even tell.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
But I think Ron would have pointed it out otherwise. Oh, maybe that's where you were at? Okay.
Yeah. Scoop him up.
Casting Armageddon. He'll sacrifice his land to gain 2. Ron loses 2 lands. Ron's not scooping. He's ready to... He'll die by damage. Alright, Masticore comes in. Down to 15, Ron goes. 14. I guess I missed a Carniphage trigger. 13? Missed 2 of them? I don't know. Oh, I guess upkeep, yeah. Alright. Ron's down to 9. Or not Ron. Jared's down to 9. And there is a swamp, so... I guess if there's... land... You need land. Nah, I don't see Ron coming out of this.
Now...
I mean, Jared could forget to upkeep his Masticore.
I think he technically did. But Ron was nice and just let Jared discard a card. And Jared tossed down a forest after he had already drawn.
Well, isn't he land taxing first?
This was last turn.
Oh, okay. Discards a Windswept Teeth. It's weird to see just all those Mox Diamonds. No lands, all diamonds.
It's great for Jared.
Here's a Meddling Mage. What are you naming with this Meddling Mage?
Just any kind of removal.
Snuff Out, I think is...
Yeah.
Alright. Ron has seen enough. So after a blistering start for Ron, where he had 6 power on turn 1, Jared, and it, not that Jared stumbled in any sense. I mean, he had Swords of Plowshares when he needed it, but I was doubtful that he was going to be able to do anything quickly enough. But Jared has proven me wrong, so kudos to him as he takes down the first game. And let's look at the sideboards. So for Ron, we have... Oh, I need to upgrade my graphic. There's 2 Diabolic Edicts, 2 Dystopias, 4 Withered Wretch, 4 Engineered Plague, and 3 Duress. I think I'm digging these Withered Wretch. That seems pretty good. I think these Dystopias are worth it.
Absolutely.
Are you bringing in a card against, like, Duress against this deck? There certainly
I
aren't a
might.
lot of targets, but...
I might do it. What's he
mean,
taking out?
Yeah, Withered Wretch isn't as, like, big of a, like... Because you could just swap it for, like, a shadow creature or something, or, like, a creature, and it's not like your deck changes that much. But if you're bringing in a ton of cards, like, what are you taking out here? I don't know. So it's Carnophage, Dothy Horror, Dothy Slayer, Drinker of Sorrow, Skittering Scourge. What's the card above Drinker of Sorrow? Nantuko Shade?
Yeah.
Curse Scrolls, Karabex Spites, Dark Rituals, Sarcomancy, Snuffouts, Negator, and Sinister Strength.
I could bring out Sinister Strength.
I was gonna say that seems like the worst card to me, but most of those other cards seem fine. I'm not exactly sure. For Jared's perspective, card like Pyroclasm seems good. There are a lot of 2 toughness creatures. Smother I'd bring in. Probably Mystic Enforcer. Pro Black is good. And I bring in the Wrath of God.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty straightforward.
Cards you take out. Winter Orb. Do you take out Seal Cleansing? Because it's Mishra's Factories and Curse Scrolls. I don't know, I think I would leave the one in.
I think I'd keep it in. Dystopia's coming in too.
Okay. Maybe take out Sylvan Library. Take out the Armageddons probably. I think it's very infrequent. I mean, that game was is an example, but I don't think most of the time that's what it's going to be. All right. In the meanwhile, I'm going to bring up get to know the player slides. We'll talk about Ron. His biggest pre-modern rival is John Grudzina. And then we asked Ron, who will win the Premodern Showdown Series 3? Also, I guess I should note, I told people not to pick themselves. So, Ron chose John Grudzina. And for the strongest color in Premodern, Ron said John Grudzina. No, he actually said black. Which, I don't know. To me, I feel like black is very good at the Duress and Cabal theory, but if you just like took away those cards, I don't feel like black is that strong. I mean, it's supplemented by like other stuff, which is fine. The black decks are good, but I don't know. To me, like black seems like the power level just falls off a cliff after you go after those 2 cards. But he says the weakest color in Premodern is white, so it seems to be a common answer from our players. He says his favorite sport is baseball, and his favorite vacation location is the mountains. Yeah, I would have thought of it. I guess you can go fishing in the mountains, like fly fishing and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I thought he was. I thought it was gonna be someplace that you could go fishing. Is what I thought I was gonna guess. But I guess you can do fly fishing in the mountains. I guess you can also there's lakes there too. So on to Jared, biggest pre-modern rival he says is Mike Arnold. He also says that John Grudzino will win the Premodern Showdown Series 3. He agrees with Ron and says the strongest color is black, and also agrees with Ron and says the weakest color is white. He agrees with Ron and says his favorite sport is baseball. And he agrees with Ron, he just likes the snowy mountains as compared to the mountains. So a lot of agreement in there between Jared and Ron. So maybe they need to take a vacation together and they can just hang out. So. All right, back down to the match. We'll see if Ron can hang on to things. That is the position that Ron is in. He needs to win, and a lot of things need to go right for him to make this playoff spot. He definitely will need Tom to lose, and then I don't know the permutations, but he's got a lot of things that have to go right for him to make the playoffs. But you still gotta try. That's what you gotta do. So
He's definitely going to try. I mean, he didn't scoop there, a few turns earlier when we were saying it was probably the writing was probably on the wall. Jared's putting one on the bottom.
Well, he was going to. He's having trouble letting go of that card. Or does he have to put another one bottom? Or is he just thinking of swapping them? Deep decisions.
Deep decisions.
Oh, Ron also is mulliganing.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like we're on an even footing in terms of that front. And we have a first turn duress, so that is a card out of the sideboard. And we see, of the legal targets, Enlightened Tutor, Mox Diamond, Land Tax, Sword Splashers. There's also a couple of lands. What are you taking here?
Oh man, that's rough. Either Mox Diamond or Land Tax.
I agree there. He takes the land tax. Okay. I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Because if you're spending the Enlightened Tutor to go get land tax, you don't have it to get Scroll Rack, and it takes another draw. And so I think I do like taking land tax the most.
That's so good. He gets to discard a fetch land.
No life loss.
No, and no basic land loss either, right? Because, the deck does have a finite number of basic lands to search for, and there are awkward scenarios where you can run out of basics in your deck.
Sure. So Ron's turn 2 adds a little bit of pressure to the board, one with the form of Sarcomancy, and then also with his land drop with Mishra's Factory. So pretty good follow-up for Ron's first turn to rest.
Got some more sand hate in chat. I wonder who that is. Anakin Skywalker, is that you?
Yeah. All right, Enlightened Tutor goes to find land tax.
This is where Ron just slams a swamp and a dystopia, right?
That would be a good sequence for him. And he'd even be able to just pay some life to keep it in play for a few turns, even if there's not any targets.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling the dystopia?
I thought I was, but
This could be a Dark Ritual.
maybe not. Oh,
Is it Dark Ritual? Is this a dystopia? Could be a negator. Probably not. There's a Skittering Scourge. And probably not a creature, unless it's a Sarcomancy. Okay, activate the Mishra's Factory. So we're attacking for 4. Are you using the Swords of Plowshares here? So the Skittering Scourge is the most powerful creature right now, but it does have the drawback that Ron is not able to cast additional creatures without sacrificing it. Alright, so
going for Jack Skellington.
Alright. And Skittering Scourge is not a zombie, to my knowledge, unless it's been errated. So the Sarcomancy will start chipping away at Ron's life. Mike is asking, very important land tax question since I'm currently resleeving Pink Prison. White bordered basics or no? I guess it would heavily depend on if your land taxes are white bordered. Do you have other white bordered cards? If the answer to that no, then I would say use black bordered basics. If you have white bordered land tax, then that's fine.
Yeah, I still use black bordered when in my Pink Prison deck.
All right, so Jared finds 3 additional lands and then passes the turn without playing a land. And Ron will use his turn just to fire up the factory and attack for 5. That puts
Not as quick of a clock as I think he's hoping.
So Jared has Ron is at 21. Jared has him at 19. I don't know if you want to let him know. I think he forgot to tick up Ron's life from the Swords of Plowshares.
So Ron is at 21, right?
Yes. I am a fan of unglued lands, but I think I would probably recommend you play those in all your decks. So, but I don't know. To me, I understand the idea of like having whiteboarded lands to make it easier with land tax, but I don't think it's very hard to find land tax or to find lands, regardless of their art, or frame. All right, so now Ron should be at 20, right?
Yeah.
I think Ron has missed a Sarcomancy trigger, but another attack for 5 will put Jared to 8.
Oof, Wasteland.
And Wasteland is a good answer to the Mishra's Factory. But I mean, like, the Skittering Scourge is still there and chipping away. Yep, Ron should be at 19 now. I think you should message them and let them know. Ron should be at 19. It's Ron missed one Sarcomancy 8 trigger, and Jared missed the Source Splasher's life, so. Alright, the Skittering Scourge doing his work. What Miley Cyrus song is Skittering Scourge singing tonight?
I don't know. What do you think? I feel like I picked the last two.
Oh, I said one last time. I said Joe.
It's probably Party in the USA.
Okay. I guess my knowledge of Miley Cyrus songs is dwindling. I'm trying to think other.
Yeah, he's celebrating already. The Scourge just knows that he's going to win the match for Ron, and so he's already celebrating.
All right, so Jared pretty much needs Swords to Plowshares next turn, right? Or a Zurin Orb that will do some crazy things.
Zurin Orb would be pretty good, or Wrath of God.
Wrath of God would be a little bit costly, but I guess it's better than dying. That's for sure. All right, Jared's looking at his cards. I guess Scroll Wreck might like keep him alive. Nope, he says I drew. Well, he did show an Armageddon. Interesting. So that was a card that I was thinking might get sideboarded out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still at least a copy of Armageddon in the post-boarded games. So, all right, Skittering Scourge got one. So. All right, back to the sideboards. Let's reevaluate. I don't think in my mind anything changes in terms of what I would value. I still like the Withered Wretches, Dystopias, and the Duresses. I guess I wasn't 100% sure on the Duresses, but that game would have been a lot different. Well, yes, it would have been a lot different if there wasn't a Duress, because land tax and then Scroll Rack could have come online, and Jared would have had a lot more looks at cards than what he did. Okay, and then from Jared. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to what he's taking out, but I do like Pyroclasm, Smother, Mystic Enforcer,
Wrath of God. Yeah. Let's make sure that we ask him.
Who are you thinking is going to win this match? I guess I was feeling like that the Terrageddon deck is a little bit more powerful, but I guess I overestimate, like, the Terrageddon deck can be clunky. Like, if you don't get the things going, like, a lot of the cards are not that impressive on their own.
I still think it's favored.
Okay.
I
I
do.
think I'm gonna go with Ron. That Ron's gonna take down the match, I guess.
All right.
Even on the draw, there's no light of day for him to worry about.
What was the result of the poll?
Let me check. It's very split. 52% said Ron and 48% said Jared. I believe it was somewhat similar to the first match, that it was very even, which I think in most of the polls that we've done, it has been a very polarizing poll.
Oh yeah,
And,
polarizing.
Yes. But tonight we've seen some matchups that I think players think could go either way, which I think that is very reasonable. Ron has 7 cards face down. He's hoping that these 7 will defeat Jared and give him a chance to advance to the playoffs in the Premodern Showdown Series 3.
Looks like Ron's keeping 7. Jared's going to keep at most 6. Yep. All right.
Did Ron look at his hand?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to see an Eternal Light and Tutor. I guess we're going to see the Light and Tutor right now.
That's some heart of the card stuff otherwise. All right, we see a Swords of Plowshares, a Pyroclasm, a Smother, Wasteland Forest. You take the Swords of Plowshares, and Jared can't cast any other cards in his hand right now. I mean, maybe you take a Pyroclasm. I could see that. But I'm not taking Smother here. That's all I can say.
No. How many? He doesn't have any mountains in the deck, right? He relies solely on Mox Diamond.
And I think there's 4 Undiscovered Paradise.
Undiscovered.
I don't think he has. It was different. Let me check real quick, because I know the mana bases between Jared and Brian were significantly different. One of them played a lot more basics. I remember.
Think Brian does.
So looks like Jared has Island, Forest, Plains. This is not. So Brian has Mountain, Forest. Oh no, that's the wrong deck. Brian has Plains, Swamp, Island, Forest. So neither of them have mountains, but.
Oh wow. Jared drew the land tax. So he wasted the Mishras and then drew the tax. Yeah, if you're around here, you just do not play a second land for a while.
All right, so let me update life totals. We have Ron at 17 and he's at 22.
Yeah, the Dothy horror was Swords to Plowshares.
All right, so we've got 4 power in the form of Sarcomancy tokens. That is what's whittling away at Jared's life total. We have a Duress that was, I guess, didn't necessarily need to take away this Pyroclasm, but an Enlightened Tutor gets responded. This will prevent Jared from using the land tax ability this turn. So he doesn't want to. He's putting a Mox Diamond to the top.
It's clearly Pyroclasm he's going to take care of. He knows there's a Mox Diamond on top, right? Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Well, he still might take Pyroclasm, but there is another one waiting.
Jeez.
I mean, that definitely makes sense that Jared would go for this line. Because otherwise it's like a lot of time and a lot of card disadvantage. So Smother is taken. I wonder if that means like Ron has a card like Drinker of Sorrow. Because doesn't the other Pyroclasm just hit most of his creatures anyways? I guess it doesn't hit Mishra's Factory, so that would be a reason for it. And Jared draws his Mox Diamond, discards his force, and slams down one of the Pyroclasms. So now Ron's on a clock under his own Sarcomancies. And again, I think
the drinker.
Jared has Ron at 18. Did he not give him life from the swords? Because I think that was the first time he took damage from Sarcomancy, so I don't know if you want to check with them. And we do see a Drinker of Sorrow. So this is kind of like a Phyrexian Negator version 2.0. This one from Legions is 3 mana. It cannot block. It's a 5/3. And whenever it deals combat damage, sacrifice a permanent. So it's a 5/3 instead of a 5/5. It doesn't trample, but you're only sacrificing 1 permanent. And in this spot, I think I know which, well, not necessarily which, but I could tell you the name of the permanent he's going to sacrifice.
Swamp.
No.
No?
No.
If he does it now, he puts Jared off of land taxing.
I guess there are...
I think I would do it.
It would be a very, like... I'm trying to think about the situation. Okay.
I think that's incorrect. I think you sacrifice a swamp. You stop the land tax engine.
Yeah, but now you got another Drinker of Sorrow.
Yeah. You just play the Drinker of Sorrow pre-combat, though.
Ron is thirsty, and he is going to drink your tears.
Yeah, just play it pre-combat and sack a swamp and say, good luck. You can't land tax unless you can destroy one of your own basic lands.
Okay, I think that is reasonable. But, I mean, Jared's in a tough spot right here.
Sure.
Like, even if he's answering both of these drinkers, which would, I think the only card in the deck would be Wrath of God. He's still taking 2 from Mishra's Factory. Yeah, I think Ron is very likely to win this from this position. If there's a scroll rack here that could find a swords, nope. Jared reveals a hand of Enlightened Tutor and Floodstrand, and those thirsty drinkers, they take down this match. So congratulations to Ron. So he still has that glimmer of hope. A lot of things have to go right again for him to make the playoffs, but he's gonna cross his fingers and hope for the best. We'll jump down to listen to the players. I know Ron wasn't feeling the best, so I don't know how long he'll be able to stick around, but we'll see if we can hear any words from him right now.
Amazing against Pyroclasm.
Can you guys hear us?
I got you unmuted.
Ron, you do not have to stick around, my man. Congratulations.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Let's do this.
Yeah, that Ron was thirsty. He drank all the tears with the Drinkers of Sorrows.
The sorrow was the damage that I was taking every upkeep from Sarcomancy, so I slurped that on down.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I really like Drinker of Sorrow is strength against damage-based spells.
Sure,
so
like a Negator would have been a lot worse in that situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when I did that duress and saw 2 Pyroclasms, I was a little upset because obviously I had the 2 zombie tokens, but the 2 Drinker of Sorrows line up real well against Pyroclasm.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
Yeah, that was wild. I guess like also the first game from the other perspective, I thought Ron was just going to take it away, and Jared had a sword sponsor at the right time, and then like was digging and just stabilizing, and then was able to pull that out. So that was really exciting. From the other way, where Jared is able to take that one down.
Yeah, when 6 power on turn 1 isn't enough to get it done, it's a bad day.
Yeah, and
Right.
and his deck is not very good at like answering multiple creatures at once. Like
No.
I think like Powder Keg was like the only main deck card that could like sweep away anything. Beyond that, he's just gonna like have to answer one for one with that position. So yeah, I thought he was definitely uh, didn't have much of a chance after that first turn, and he was able to do it. So really interesting to see that, and yeah. But
Yep, those were some good games. It's always a lot of fun to play Jared. Um,
Yeah,
we've
it was
been
good games.
battling. We've been battling
For
years.
years now.
And
Yeah.
it's always a good match. It's always a lot of fun. Jared's a super nice dude, so I'll play Jared any day of the week.
all right.
Same thing, Ron. Same thing. Yeah, I knew he would be on Suicide Black. You know, once the bans went through, I actually texted, I messaged Mike. I was like, I'm playing Terrageddon and he's gonna be playing Suicide Black. And Mike was like, "You're not allowed to say that. That's not your job." I was
Well,
like, "He's
you're not
gonna do
allowed.
it."
It was
You're
funny
not
because like
allowed.
Ron had messaged me right away like to tell me what he was playing, and
Yeah.
so I knew he was playing Suicide Black, and Jared knew as well.
I knew, I knew it'd be kind of an uphill battle just because, like you said, I'm not good at answering wide boards, you know, especially game one. But it was going to be my better bet than trying to like even possibly risking playing goblins versus his oath deck, which is just terrible. So I was just like, no, I'm not even going to bother risking that. And I didn't, and I knew he wouldn't risk playing oath against my Terrageddon deck, so maybe I should have like played goblins anyway, just because of like the 3D chess of it all. But I figured I'd go with a safer, you know, bet. A deck I knew had pretty good matchups against one great matchup against his Oath Prison deck, and one not, you know, one that I could possibly pull out the other way, as opposed to giving him the advantage of the lopsided matchup.
So
Makes sense.
I mostly just really wanted to play Replenish one more time. So I banned the deck that had the worst matchup for Replenish, and then he banned Replenish, and I messaged him and cursed him out.
Yes, you did.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely did that.
Well, we got to see a pretty exciting game, I think, from the Suicide Black deck. It was nice to see those Drinker of Sorrows in action, because it's one of the cards that I see like on paper a lot of time, and it, not that I question it, but it's kind of like you wonder how, like, should this be a negator, or like should this just be something else? And here I think was a very good display of the strength of Drinker of Sorrow, where I can't really think of any other card that would be as good in that situation. So pretty cool.
Right.
At that mana cost too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So game 2, I took one mulligan, and I had a real hard time deciding what card to send back to the bottom, and I ended up sending a negator down. I had a Duress, a Sarcomancy, and a Snuff Out, and 3 lands. Sent the negator down to the bottom because I wanted to Duress early. I wanted to Duress turn 1 and then put a threat down, and I didn't want to wait until turn 3 to play the negator. So I wanted to keep the Sarcomancy because I wanted immediate pressure.
Right.
So my first draw in game 2 was a Dark Ritual, so I immediately regret sending that Phyrexian negator to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll rub some salt in the wounds for Mike Harris. We had a match a long time ago, and this showcases the strength of Drinker of Sorrow. He was playing some kind of Rug Threshold Dreadnought deck, and I was playing Suicide Black, and he kept a hand on the strength of Pyroclasm. So I played turn 1 Swamp Ritual, Drinker of Sorrow, and he said, "Oh crap."
Yes.
So it's very splitting between the two, Drinker of Sorrow and Phyrexian Negator. They're good in different situations. They're both bad against Swords to Plowshares, obviously, but Drinker of Sorrow gets chump blocked all day long, whereas Phyrexian Negator tramples over. If they're just blocking with a 1/1 elf, I want the Phyrexian Negator. But if they're playing something like Pyroclasm or 2/2s, I want the Drinker of Sorrow. If they're playing man lands that aren't animating, or that aren't pumping themselves to 3/3s. So I've always really liked the split, and you got to see why.
I mean, Drinker. I mean, Phyrexian Negator basically says cannot block. Also, you're never blocking with Negator. You know, if you're
Right.
blocking with Negator, you're in trouble. You know, so like, it's interesting. Whereas the Drinker is much better in other creature matchups. You know, for sure. But like the Negator can be better against like the small creature matchup. I you know, the trample is relevant, and so is the 5 toughness. But like they're both bad against Bolt. I guess Negator's a little worse against Bolt. But you know, I like the, you know, it is interesting how close they are. For sure.
I'm just gonna check chat to see if people had anything specific that they wanted to ask you.
So what's Ron need to get in now? So with is Ben losing help him at all? Probably not.
Tom needs to lose.
Tom definitely needs to lose, and then I don't know exactly which players of the potential 3-4s. But basically, what needs to happen is, I don't think there's a clear path. Like if there's any direct head-to-head, I think Ron has lost to those other potential 3-4s. So there needs to be like multiple 3-4s, and then have it be like where Ron beat one of them and lost to the other, and that be true for all those 3, and then Ron have the best game win percentage. So I think it's
right,
kind of like a Hail Mary for Ron to sneak in, but I don't think you're mathematically eliminated. I think there's still a possibility.
So you're
So
saying there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance.
So if I put a 2-0 tonight, would have been a lot better for him.
Yes.
In that regard.
Yeah. I think that Tom obviously needs to lose, and I think Brian needs to lose as well.
Well, if Tom loses and drops to 3-4, I beat Tom in week 1, so we would both be 3-4s, and I would have a head-to-head over Tom.
Yeah, I think Brian and Tom need to lose, but I'm not great at this, so
yeah, I'd have to look at it. I know
whatever Hoyt says.
I looked at it a little bit, and I said there were just like way too many permutations to figure out like exactly like what would happen. So I just left it at like I'm pretty sure that it's possible. I'm not exactly sure how it'll be, but I might have to revisit it and see what we're looking at. So,
well, if Tom and Brian both lose, that puts Tom to 3-4, Brian at 2-5, right? So then it would be.
I think there would be one more 3-4 at the time.
Well, Aaron would be 3-4.
Yeah.
Because Aaron would have beaten. Okay, so then it comes down to: did you lose to Aaron then?
No, I beat Aaron.
You beat Aaron.
So that's your way to get in. So you need those 2 guys.
Wait, does it? Who? Hold on. Let me bring up the schedule. Who? Well, it's Tom against Brian, so there's no way that Tom can lose and Brian be 2-5. So Brian either has to be 3-4 or Tom has to be 4-3.
Oh, that's a bummer then.
So I think that's the situation there, and I think Ron, you lost to Brian. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So if you and Brian are the only 3-4s, well,
if Brian's a 3-4, then Tom's also a 3-4.
Okay,
but Brian would have beaten Tom as well, so he gets the head-to-head in both of us.
Okay.
So we need another 3-4 in Aaron, and I don't know how Aaron played against Tom and
Aaron
Brian.
lost to Tom, and Aaron beat Brian.
Wow, so that really would.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna say that things can happen, and I'm not gonna make too many predictions, but yeah, there's a lot of weird things that can still happen yet.
Awesome.
So Aaron, don't let me down.
No pressure. No pressure to anyone.
All right.
I'll show you Jaguar Stadium when you come down to Florida.
I think he was. I don't know if he's always a Jaguars fan or if he's only a Jaguars fan when it's convenient to tilt his PSS opponent. But
nobody's always a Jaguars fan.
That is one of the teams that I've liked. I liked. I'm from Wisconsin, so obviously I like the Packers. For some reason, I liked, and then I just picked the St. Louis Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so, still like the Rams, even though they moved. And I've always said if the Jaguars are playing like a random team, I'll root for them. But they have not had a good streak. Like the first season, I think when they were like a new franchise and knew the NFL, they were good. I think they
The
made the
Mark
playoffs.
Brunell, Jimmy Smits or whatever era.
Yeah.
Way back then.
Like they're probably an okay team to play on NFL Blitz 2000. So
Yes.
that's kind of the era I'm stuck in. So
Excellent. Cool.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get to bed.
all right, yeah,
Thanks
you get
for
to
the
rest.
games.
Ron.
This,
Good night.
Feel better.
This was
Thanks,
a ton
Jared.
of fun, and y'all have a good night.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for participating, both you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
All right, so we are wrapping things up for our Tuesday night. So we still have Thursday for regular season, regular round robin matches to finish up. And as you could tell by that graphic that we had, there's still a lot at stake. So it's all going to come down to the wire with that match between Brian and Tom to determine who our fourth place will be. So a lot of exciting magic to be held. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. I want to thank our sponsor this season of CardSphere for help making this production possible. Thanks, Flint, for I know you had some personal stuff going on. Thank you for making the extra effort to get things situated so you could partake tonight. Appreciate that. So thanks all around.
I will just echo what you said. Thanks to the viewers. Thanks to the sponsor. Thanks for all the work that you put in. And I'm really, really excited to see how things shake up on Thursday.
Okay, cool. So I will say goodnight to everyone. And until next time, take care.
Night, everybody.